Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to this episode where I will be reviewing the ninth generation of Pokemon because I just got done playing Pokemon Violet and I wanted to do a review right after as it was fresh in my brain because I really got dipped into this because I have skipped a couple generations. I stopped midway through Sun and Moon because that game wasn't feeling it. And then I completely skipped Sword and Shield, and people told me I didn't miss anything by doing that. And honestly, I went back to go watch some gameplay footage, and I'm kind of glad that I did skip that. But I did want to pick this one up just out of sheer boredom, and I didn't really do any research on the game beforehand because I just wanted to pick up a Pokemon game. I was looking for just a game to kind of play around with. And after this, I can give it two types of reviews. The child review, where if I'm going to put this through like my inner child's perspective and I was just a kid playing a Switch at my mom and dad's house, then I would have loved this game and I would have enjoyed like every minute of it. It would have been a fantastical action ride, just like Red and Blue was for me and my brother. But at the end of the day, I'm also going to look at this through the adult perspective because I understand that these games are aimed at kids, but it's fun to see how this story and the series have evolved from Generation 1 all the way to now, Generation 9. Because a lot of people online like to talk about this game like it's the worst thing ever. Me, it's a game. It's supposed to be for fun. It's basically a computer program with some code beneath it, and it looks really awesome when you make the actions happen. And there's nothing really wrong with that. Once you understand how video games work, it doesn't really ruin the experience, but you do get more critical from like more of a pseudo developer's perspective. Now, I know I'm not a game developer, but I do start to see what goes into their work, and I don't know how the corporate world works over there, so I'm not going to pretend to be like it, right? But when you write code for other things like websites and stuff like that, and then you see how these games interact, and then you understand how Blender is, it's just really fun just to kind of see it through that lens. And I would like to say that like everybody who worked on this game did a fantastic job. I enjoyed it while it did. There were some kind of things that if I nitpicked, I could see some things that kind of bothered me. But at the end of the day, I don't want to just say, oh, then this game's no good, because it's actually the opposite. I actually had a lot of fun playing this because I still had that experience of putting together a team of 6 Pokemon and making them as strong as I could so I could take on the champion at the end. That's always my goal when I play these things. And you know what? If it is not broke, don't fix it. But going back, I do kind of wish they took a more linear approach because they said it was more of a free roam game, but when I played it, it felt like there were so many level walls for different Pokemon that I really was forced into taking a very linear approach to this game. In fact, it reminded me of Breath of the Wild meets Pokemon in a sense. And let me be real, there is nothing wrong with that, but they tried doing something different, which I applaud. But there were just so many loopholes in the contract when you are on this game. Metaphorical contract, by the way. This is not a serious issue. But it felt like there were some loopholes, but there's level walls, things you got to level up before you get there. If you don't have a certain number of badges, certain Pokemon won't listen to you. So there was a lot to kind of keep you on that linear path. So it just felt a little disingenuous to me, the whole mix-up that they were going for. So I felt like a linear progression path would have been more honest and more on the point. But, hey, I'm not going to make it ruin my experience. It was still a fun kind of linear story. And there is a complete lack of legendaries, let me tell you that much. I mean, I haven't played the game post-champion, so there's still some things I have to go through. But a lot of the legendaries that you know from the previous games really don't show up. Again, not really the worst thing in the world, but you did have 2 legendaries, which were the mascots of this game, and you didn't really battle with them, and they were more functioning as your motorcycle. But I did like this because it made it easier to get around. It made the map more exploratory. It made it less feeling imprisoned, and I felt very free despite the super high-level Pokemon that I would sometimes run into. So you're free to wander off, but wandering off does come at a cost. But knowing that the game's not restricting you and gives you a lot of room to breathe and enjoy the environment, it really did bring a thumbs up in my opinion. And then there's another point I wanted to strike up on is the whole terrestrializing that you do to your Pokemon. I think that's how it's pronounced. But it's similar to Mega Evolutions from Pokemon X and Y. And it's also very similar to giantizing your Pokemon from Sword and Shield. Now, I didn't play Sword and Shield, but I looked into that, and it's basically the same as Mega Evolution. And with the whole giant Pokemon and then this one, which it basically changes the type of what the Pokemon is, which does offer a twist to the battle. But sometimes it felt like it was taking the gym leaders out of their elements, and I get what they were going for, but just from my point of view, I didn't really like that. In fact, I think a long time ago, Pokemon should have just stuck with the Mega Evolutions because that had a point to it. It wasn't forced upon you. And then when you saw the remakes of third generation come out, you got to see how it tweaked the game a little bit, which I'm going to be very honest. I used to be very skeptical over Mega Evolutions and just think it was another spin to the game, but that was how they kept it fresh. And when they kept it fresh that way, it actually was executed very well. So I was very skeptical over Mega Evolutions, thinking it was just more marketing and more toys, because I'm a little cynical sometimes like that. But it had a point to it. And a lot of those different Mega Evolutions, although it changed the type significantly as some of those Pokemon, I still enjoyed it. And it kept, if like gym leaders were to do Mega Evolutions, at least it would keep the Pokemon in their type, right? Because it just kind of felt odd to me when I saw an ice Pokemon gym leader pull out a dragon and then add an ice type to it. Crazy twist, I know, but I guess you catch my drift. And again, I don't want to let this kind of throw out the whole experience. It just was kind of me understanding little things as I was going on. And I honestly really wish, like, in future Pokemon or like remakes, they just go back to the Mega Evolutions, because when it's all terrestrialized like that and it's all so-and-so, like if they're going to do a black and white remake, I really hope they just bring back Mega Evolutions instead of terrestrializing on these things, just because. And you get my drift. It just feels like they're trying to take the same function and kind of rehash it into something different. And I know this game, like I said, is for the kids, but you know, to the people who are still like not kids, who still play these games just out of the fun when they're away from their day jobs, it kind of does show a little bit. And sometimes it's like they're trying to mix it up too many times, that I think when you try and mix it up, you take away from a little bit of the substance that the game provides. Like sometimes it's better to do less than more. Because with the whole 3 different storylines, you had the Titans, a lot of it was just giant versions of normal Pokemon that really didn't have any legendary status that they could use. The Team Star storyline kind of had these forts, right? Like 5 different forts with 5 different types. And although it added more like different type challenges to the map, it still kind of just felt like I was doing the same thing, going after gym leader, except, you know, you go in, have a bunch of quick battles against 30 Pokemon, and then you fight the fort leader, which has its own team, and then it always has the same Revavroom Pokemon, which is a giant car, only its types are different. So it was kind of a repetition thing for me, and I appreciate the effort, but it just kind of felt like a little bit of rinse and repeat sometimes. And I know that that doesn't ruin it, but one thing that just really didn't make sense to me was when I was fighting the Elite Four, that final Dragon Trainer in the Elite Four, spoiler alert, was harder than the Champion. In fact, the Champion was a cakewalk compared to the normal Elite Four, because I actually had to go through the Elite Four 3 times before I finally got it right, because I didn't want to waste a bunch of revives. And my Pokemon were actually very high leveled, so it was actually a lot easier to take on the Champion. But to be honest, I actually did enjoy that it was giving me a challenge. Some of these games felt like they were on safety mode a lot of the times, so I actually felt a sense of danger when I was going into these battles, so I had to actually prep for what I was going into. I couldn't just go in half booty and then, yes, I did use that word, and finish the job easy. But overall, I gotta say I enjoyed this very much. It just seemed kind of like a little dishonest to me, because there were a lot of different selling points, but a lot of it just seemed like the same thing over and over again. Like the linearity was still kind of forced upon you, and a lot of these forts kind of felt like gyms, and the way they went about the gyms too, with the gym test followed by the gym leader, kind of made the gyms all feel watered down. And when I could skip a majority of the gym trainers just like that, if there even were any, because I couldn't tell what was what sometimes, it just felt like they were watering down the gym experience. And I miss the old gym experience. That old sense of having an environment that you could interact with while bumping into high-level trainer until you finally get to the final bad guy. But I'm going to be honest with you. Is this game worth picking up? I definitely say yes, it is. I think it's worth it. Just don't expect anything spectacular or anything to leap off the page or revolutionize an old game, because it had some elements from old games that I really enjoyed, like legendaries, like authentic legendaries, and just, more in-depth gym experience that just kind of didn't seem there. But if you want to go and train 6 Pokemon and bring it to the champion and destroy the Pokemon League, then that experience is definitely still there. So overall, I could give this game a 7 out of 10. 7 just being that it is really good, but it has a few things that just seem like they tried and failed to deliver new experiences. And like I said, like the terrestrializing, I really hope Pokemon just goes back to Mega Evolutions, because that's where the real diversity was in. And I know I might not get my wish, but if anyone from the studio is listening, bring that in at your next pitch meeting, because I would really like to see that. I like Mega Evolutions. I thought that they were a good addition. But these terrestrializing and the giant Pokemon, yeah, sometimes we could do away with those. But I do highly recommend anyone pick up this game. I had a very good time with it. I just had some of those moments where it shone through and kind of showed that it lacks certain substance in certain areas, I feel. I'm not going to have that destroy the whole experience, but I guess the lesson is that Pokemon is a kind of a rinse and repeat series every generation you go about. But what you're going to be dealing with is just it's going to be kind of the same thing, but that same thing is fun, even though it kind of falls short in some areas. But I've repeated myself 5 times. Go about, please pick this game up if you want to. If you're a Pokemon fan, definitely. If you're kind of new to the series, maybe. It's up to you. But I give this game a 7 out of 10. Hope you guys enjoy your experience. I hope you guys have your own opinions on this game, because I'd love to hear them. Leave it in the comments, and I will see you guys next time.